it's either they come from the traditional e-commerce world and thinking that by simply put together your TikTok shop, list everything, have your storefront like similar to Amazon or Shopify or whatever you used to sell on, then automatically like you will have sellers coming your way. It doesn't work like that. Even with the help of ads, like what they do on Amazon, it doesn't just come to you naturally, because by the end of the day, TikTok is still like a content platform. People are coming to TikTok looking for good.
Welcome to today's episode of the E-Commerce Revolution podcast, where we dive into the dynamic world of e-commerce and uncover the tools and tactics that empower today's emerging entrepreneurs. Our podcast is part of our community with the same name. The community is geared to providing emerging e-commerce entrepreneurs with courses, content, and coaching to help you all launch and grow successful businesses. Check us out at ecomrevolution.co. Let's get things started. Welcome to another episode of the E-Commerce Revolution podcast. I'm Ramin, your host. So today we're diving back into the world of TikTok shops, but not in the way you might expect. If you've ever wondered how to actually start, scale, and succeed on TikTok shops in 2025 and beyond, you're in the right place. Our guest today is someone who's helped build the TikTok shop economy from the inside. Jessamine Dong is the founder and CEO of CreatoRev, the first certified TikTok shop agency partner in the United States. Her agency has helped kickstart top 10 sellers in every category, generating over 100 million in GMV last year alone, and is now expanding globally across Europe, Latin America, and beyond. Jessamine isn't just watching the wave of TikTok commerce, she's steering it. So without any further ado, please welcome Jessamine Dong to the E-Commerce Revolution podcast. Jessamine, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, we did an episode on TikTok shops quite a while back, but this one, after speaking to you off camera, really understanding what your agency does, you really know this world. You have lived it. You were one of the very first in there. So I really want to take the opportunity here to help those who maybe have been sitting on the fence, not sure about getting started in the world of TikTok shops, for you to lend your expertise to them. How does that sound?
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
Fantastic. And tell me where you're calling in from today so everybody else can know who you are and know where your agency is located.
Oh yeah, sure. So I live in Encino, so our agency is in Encino, Los Angeles as well.
Perfect. Very nice. And I'm just curious, this is you mentioned to me, one of the first certified TikTok shop agencies. How did this happen? And, did you get a phone call from ByteDance letting you know that you were going to be, certified as one of the very first in the United States?
Oh yeah, so that's like the first cultural difference, because in China, in the business world, people still prefer like face-to-face communication. Unlike the United States, you can get things done mostly through emails and phone calls. Yeah, so we did talk to someone back then at ByteDance who were confirming, because we kind of heard this from different news outlets already, that TikTok want to roll out the e-commerce aspect back in 2022. But then it was not confirmed until we talked to them, and then they were like, yeah, it is actually happening. And then also at the beginning, because there's going to be a lot of trials and errors, so they want to work with someone who has the patience, who has the expertise, is willing to work with them to go through every step of the way as an agency partner. So that's why, we actually also like sit on it a little bit. Because for me and my business partner, we have been living in the United States for so many years, like over decades. So to a certain extent, I feel like we're more like Americanized in terms of business practices than like the Chinese way. So we just want to make sure like everything will go like more the American way so that we can handle it. Because the way like business is run and how you can succeed requires a different set of like skills and capability in the Chinese scenario. And apparently we're not up to that anymore to deal with all the like cultural and political, delicacies. So it's through this process we realize like TikTok is really, really serious about this. They want to succeed. They want to do it the right way, and then they also want to be considered the real thing for the American public. So we think it's a good pursuit. Then we decided to do it with them. So for a good amount of time, I would say maybe like 5 or 6 months, we were the only TikTok certified
Wow.
cap agency in the whole United States.
Wow. Well, and tell me what those early days were like for TikTok shops. I mean, and I will say before you answer, I think TikTok has done an exceptional job with the commerce side. They've really taken it. I mean, really built it properly into their ecosystem and taken. So I mean, it's something they should obviously be very proud of, and people are very successful. But what did those early days look like?
It's pretty much we're part of kind of the product development team. So for every feature at the beginning, you don't have all the features. And also they have to test the traffic. So at the beginning, only like 50% of the audiences on TikTok will be able to see the yellow shopping cart icon. It's essentially want to make sure that you have a smooth experience before they actually roll out the whole traffic. So that's why you will see like exciting features, and sometimes you will see like problems or issues you have to solve with the team. So it's basically you're developing the whole tool set, getting feedback from the creator side, from the seller side, what need to be improved before it can be fully rolled out. So basically, we kind of like learned how things are built up, what will be the best service points, what are some of the pain points, both on the creator side and seller side, that need to be solved for this platform to be solid.
Wow, wow. Well, okay. So tell me, maybe in the early days there was a conception people had, or misconceptions. Do people still have misconceptions when they come to you now about TikTok shops and maybe just TikTok in general, or has a lot of that, fallen, gone away?
I would say they're definitely more educated sellers and creators, but there's still like misconceptions for sure. For one thing, well, it's kind of very extreme. It's either they come from the traditional e-commerce world and thinking that by simply put together your TikTok shop, list everything, have your storefront like similar to Amazon or Shopify or whatever you used to sell on, then automatically like you will have sellers coming your way. It doesn't work like that. Even with the help of ads, like what they do on Amazon, it doesn't just come to you naturally, because by the end of the day, TikTok is still like a content platform. People are coming to TikTok looking for good content, something new, unexpected. So in terms of selling your products, you need to be that way too. It also comes into the way, not only in terms of what content you put out over there, but what kind of products you promote over there. You might have like over 100 school number, but in each campaign, you can't be like promoting 100 products. You have to pick and choose like 2 to 3 hero products maximum. Then you really have to ponder on the weapons you have in arsenal, which are the ones that are most likely to be successful on this unique platform. So that's something we work with clients all the time on the seller side. Then the other extreme will be they saw all the hype, they saw all the news. Also, they have some seller friends who had huge success on TikTok. Then they were thinking like, wow, if I get on TikTok, then overnight, I will be selling million, 10 million. No, actually, like it's like in a normal world, the success rate is still like around like 10 to 20% for a specific category. To be the best in any industry, you have to be good. It's not like anyone can make it. Okay, it's not a world like that. So you do have to get prepared. And sometimes, while we had tons of cases where they have been like the top 3 sellers on Amazon, but then the product is kind of too standardized. It has like nothing special or like a story to tell over there. So it's really, really difficult to convert that into a success on TikTok. With that said, what is so unique about TikTok is when you come to TikTok Shop, you're not totally looking for success for TikTok Shop per se, because it has its spillover effect. We actually have been seeing many clients, while they may be seeing like a 5 times growth on TikTok Shop, then they're seeing like 100 times growth on Amazon or on their website, like the traditional selling outlets, because of TikTok Shop presence. So you should be looking at the whole picture, not only like what you can achieve on TikTok Shop alone.
Interesting. Well, tell me, and you're expanding your business and you're going to many different countries with your agency. What is that, and that obviously means that there'll be opportunities for sellers in all parts of the country, but TikTok Shops itself, is a global business. What does that mean for U.S. sellers? Does the expansion into into global markets become a lot easier because TikTok Shops is expanding so quickly?
Yes, especially like in the Latin world. I just came back from Brazil. In Brazil, it's basically TikTok is helping all the sellers to do the fulfillment, handling logistics. So
Wow.
essentially, you just have to have your products over there.
So
it's
sort of like a Amazon FBA model in some
yeah,
ways. Interesting.
exactly. Yeah, so that's why there's definitely like tons of new opportunities for American sellers. And we have clients like following us everywhere. They're basically saying that wherever you serve on TikTok
Wow.
Shop, we'll go there. So they have been following us to Spain, to Mexico, and now to Brazil. And also like Brazil is growing so fast. It's kind of like jaw-dropping, even for TikTok Shop people themselves. So this is like a really nice area to look at, and we do see like a potential like down the road, either end of this year or like sometime next year, Brazil might catch up with the United States in terms of like overall GMV generation capability.
Wow, that's fascinating. Well, tell me, I'm curious. That's a huge, bonus for entrepreneurs, businesses, anybody who's looking to expand globally. Do you ever come across, and before I ask the question, I'm going to say that usually I recommend that a good e-commerce strategy is making sure you're in all the right channels that make sense for your buyer persona. Diversify your channels. As much as possible. But do you ever see companies just say, you know what, I only want to do TikTok Shops because, maybe they're new into the DTC, direct to consumer side of things. And would you ever say that's a good idea, just to do one platform like this, especially given how much it's growing?
Yeah, well, for certain type of products, it definitely worked that way, because we also had clients who started out with everything like this strategy we're talking about, covering every outlets out there. Then they realized like cost effective wise, like TikTok is way more effective. And that's why they're closing out all the other outlets and focus on TikTok Shop alone.
Interesting. Well, I want to go back to something you said. That there are people who obviously prior to TikTok Shops had a very strong presence on TikTok, right? And it sounds like they may have thought, and that was one of the misconceptions, they may have thought that by just having a presence on TikTok, a strong presence, that by launching products that they would start selling right away. And that is not actually true, right? That is, something that it's really about the product, right? At the end of the day, and tell me, what products you're seeing that do well, regardless of, somebody's reach or, ad spend. What type of products do very well on TikTok?
Well, essentially, you have to have a certain level of novelty. Like when people see like the video content on it, then they realize, oh, this is something I never realized or I never discovered. And those kind of products usually will trend really, really well. And sell many on TikTok and becoming like a trend in the shopping world. But at the same time, for household names, it's all about, what is kind of like the unique value I'm getting on TikTok. So for some of the household names, because you know the product so well. You've seen it like everywhere, like on Walmart, anywhere you've been. So it's more about if you can do like a special bundle, or you're doing kind of like an exclusive launch on TikTok first, for example, for like 2 to 3 weeks, then they launch the same product everywhere else. So you do have to have like a unique like launching strategy or like product strategy for people to see the unique value on your TikTok shop if you're already like a household name.
Okay. But are there any like specific products, product lines and categories you can speak to? Maybe tell me the ones that don't work well. I'd love to know those, in your opinion.
Yeah, this is like the irony, because beauty and cosmetics is actually the #1 category on TikTok Shop.
Okay.
But so far, like, not really like one men's beauty or cosmetics products line actually works. We tried many things like shampoos, like a body lotion, shaving foam, many things. It's just not there. I think it's essentially because like the majority of people making purchases on TikTok, they're females. So that's why like it's kind of more difficult to pivot towards like the male audience that way when it comes to like skincare. Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I do see a lot, my kids included, watching, and getting a lot of information, from TikTok. And then obviously when they get into TikTok shops, they get a lot of ideas about products and, brands and things that they think work well. But I do see a lot of beauty. I do see a lot of cosmetic side of it. So is it safe to say you're saying that, more women are purchasing off of TikTok shops than men are purchasing?
Yes, but for men's category, it's usually like 3C, like electronics.
Okay.
Those are performing really, really well. And it's actually less sensitive. That's kind of like another myth people are talking about, like you have to be extremely cheap on TikTok in order to sell. That's not necessarily the case, because we had like multiple brands who are selling over $200 per unit after discount. So that's very expensive, like the ice maker machine, like the small fridge, like the mop and broom, like a combo. But then like during Black Friday and like regular sales season, they're sold out like in the first try, because essentially they have a unique value that justify why it's so expensive. And then for men, it's kind of like that unique value as well. We actually run one live with Ryan Sheckler, the legendary like skateboard athlete. Yeah. So like the boards, they're expensive too. And then people who actually tune in to that live, I would say like 95% male.
Wow.
But then they keep asking like, wow, how can I buy your boards? Can I choose this? They ask questions, they're highly interactive. So I think it's more about like the format, choosing the right type of products that really can get men engaged. Think about it, it's much easier to get male engaged when you're seeing that, okay, you want to try this board, I'm going to have someone do a trick that you ask for on the live. Sure. It's really exciting, and then they will buy it, or like sneakers, like Crocs, But then if you're telling male, okay, you want to try this lotion, I'm going to put it on me, apply it, it's kind of like weird, So,
right.
Yeah, so you really have to choose the right kind of product.
Interesting. All right. Well, that's very, I suspect that a lot of that. How about digital products? Are they allowing that at all right now?
Oh, yes. Like electronics, they're selling really well too.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of women buyers.
But digital in terms of, can people sell courses or any of that? Is that allowed or is that not allowed yet?
So far it has to be physical goods.
Physical goods. Yeah, that's what I figured. I remember looking into that a while back, and it sounds like it's still the same. Well, let's talk a little tactical, and we like to always try to come at this from the standpoint of, if somebody has never, they've been sitting, as I said earlier, on the sidelines, right? And they haven't jumped in yet. And I'm an entrepreneur, maybe I'm doing well on Shopify, maybe I'm doing well, on Amazon, but I keep hearing TikTok shops, I'm, concerned maybe it's going to go away, but, it hasn't gone away yet. So here we are. What's the process of getting set up? Is it pretty easy? Is the app, or is it still in, it takes a while to be approved? Just what are those steps that one would have to take?
Well, in terms of like registration, it's very like a foolproof. You just have to follow the prompt on the TikTok like backend, provide all the documents like your legitimate business, like the owner's information, taxation, everything related, and then you can get approved very quickly if all the documents fit into the criteria. But then it's the steps after you actually have a shop. Then you have to figure out like what product to be listed over there. And then, how many creators you want to work with, what kind of content you want to push out there. And then right now, apparently you can't be 100% reliant on organic traffic anymore. You do have to use ad buy tools on TikTok. So like, what's your overall like ad strategy? How are you going to run the ad up? So those are the things as a seller you have to think about yourself. And also you have to think about in long term, you might be able to have like one hero product, say going viral on TikTok. But then if you cannot follow up with the second or third product, like meaning if you have a very limited like a school number, and then you might have like a one-time success, but it won't be like sustainable down the road. So you want to make sure like inventory wise, like product wise, you're fully prepared.
Okay, so have a good inventory strategy. Even if you're going to launch maybe with a couple of products, think about, what the full, breadth of your product line is going to be like over the course of time, right? So you're not left with, just showing the same things over and over again. And then let's talk about, it is a video platform. So, am I creating content immediately? Should I, reach out to influencers? What if I'm shy and I don't want to go on camera? Should I be looking for, influencers? Should I be coming to an agency like yours immediately and saying, help, help me build all this out? But what does it look like in that world, especially on the media side?
I would say that it really depends on the owner or the seller's personality, because some of like the best selling products, they definitely have the owner as the face of the brand. Yeah, a lot of them are creators themselves. Then they build up their own lines, like beauty lines. They're selling those. Those are working really, really well. But then for some of the shoppers, well, if you feel like I do not have the personality, I do not want to be in front of the camera, then my suggestion, not from like a commercial like selling points, is actually you should work with an agency at the beginning, at least at the beginning, because we have so many clients who are thinking, how difficult can it be? And there's like an open marketplace of creators. I can just send message to them. I can do everything myself in-house. Then eventually they have to come back to us, because by the end of the day, because we're managing creators, we're getting the feedback from them all the time. Every time they wake up in the morning, they're receiving like 200, 300 emails saying that I'm this brand, work with me. But then they only have like so many hours in a day. They also want to be selective, like work on products which are more likely to bring them a good income, a good commission. So they want to know like which products they should be focusing on. So for that, they're relying on us a lot.
So you can pitch them on, you have a client, this client is interested in, partnering, and they'll evaluate. But you're saying they get these, and should we call them influencers? Is it safe? They're creators, but they influence, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you say they get a lot of companies are reaching out to them. Yeah. It's a pretty crowded market, the influencer world. Interesting.
Yeah, that's like the uniqueness of the United States, because everywhere else we're actually seeing a different ecology. But in the United States, there are way more sellers than creators available in the market. So in a way, like creators, they're kind of like there's scarcity in the market. And that's why they always get like the best package. To a certain extent, we think that they have been indulged so much into this environment, but then when you go outside of the United States, you will have like very big creators, maybe have like 30 million followers, who are willing to do a video for a brand for commission only. You can never expect that to happen in the United States.
Wow, that's interesting, and that's probably a good thing. Again, if you're going to expand globally, you're a U.S. company, you don't speak the language, so hiring a creator outside of the United States is a good idea if you're trying to expand. Can you go back to the let me just touch on the commission. So, what are the commission rates look like these days for influencers when you're hiring a creator/influencer?
Well, the general like industry standards will be for the agency sides and creator sides combined. It shouldn't be like more than 30%.
Okay.
And then the specific really depends on what's already set on open plan for the brands. And then if you want creators to work with you exclusively, then you have to offer a commission higher than the open plan. And then if you're a product that's already like proven successful, sold over, say like 150K units, then it's highly likely we can run some what we call the tap campaign, where there's no like upfront fixed fees, commission only. Yeah, but then you're less selective on what kind of creators come into this kind of campaign as well, because it's more like for the scale up, for the massive scale. So you're not necessarily always working with creators who have a solid track record as well.
Interesting. And can you track, are you able to track what they're doing for you in terms of, is there a dashboard that you can see, all right, well, they posted this many videos, the reach was this, the sales coming from that, is it all built into the TikTok dashboard,
Yes.
dashboard? Wow.
Yeah, yes, for
Fantastic.
sure. And we have our own like proprietary platform. Used to be a SaaS platform, and now we're also doing the app version of it. We launched it on Apple App Store and then on Android like more than 1 month ago in the United States.
Fantastic! And we'll ask you. I'll ask you more about that in a minute. Can you take me back to the media side? If I'm going to buy ads, what does that world look like these days? What can I get away with? What's the minimum ad buy, per day, ad spend I would have to put in order to get any sort of relevant traction?
I always see that at the beginning when we call like the cold start phase, meaning you don't have anything like trendy yet. You're just getting started. Then like the minimum spend will be like 15K US dollars like per month.
Okay.
At the beginning, but it's not like you have to spend all that much like say within the first 5 days. No, because you usually only place ads behind videos who actually convert for you already like organically. Then you're basically boosting that video, because usually like by the 4th day or the 5th day, like the power of organic traffic will die down. So you have to like keep driving that sales through media. And then the other way could be, the video is actually performing well, like the conversion is there somehow, but it's not getting enough views. So that's when you need to like put ad money behind it, making sure more people are seeing the ads, seeing the content. So it's going to be able to like convert more.
Okay. And so, we talk about, the media side of it, creating content, hiring creators and influencers. What about going live? How important is it to go live? I mean, this is something that, you focus a lot on. Is it something that I need to do every single day or every single week at least? Once a week I go live? And how long do I go live?
Well, actually, if you kind of like hit the level where you should be running lives, most of the sellers, they will be doing that at the regular time spot every day, at least like 5 days in a week. But you do not necessarily like qualify for running lives in the first place.
Right.
Because usually you need to have a solid like follower base already at the beginning. That's when we recommend the sellers to go live. Or it's kind of like the sellers, they're more invested. They're willing to like do live themselves, or have like their salespeople like doing that on a regular basis. Well, it will take some time for you to take off, at least like 4 to 5 weeks. If you're starting from like scratch, then that's kind of like the time and patience you need to like build up on. But essentially, we would recommend always start with short videos to build up the momentum, knowing what the success formula is before you actually add in the live element in it. It also depends on the product. Sometimes because the products, it's actually more vivid to show the before and after, how to use it. It needs like instructions. But then some of the products, it's just not fun to do live on. What do you talk about? What do you show?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that very interesting. I mean, it's a good point. Just because you're told to go live, it doesn't mean necessarily that your product will relate. And you and I talked about this offline, and we did an episode recently with Marcy McKenna. She's a live shopping expert, and she trains people on how to build live shopping for their business. But live shopping in the United States is very different than it is in Asia, right? In Asia, they put a lot of production into it. I mean, it's like a show. How come that hasn't come here, or are you starting to see that? And is your agency kind of bringing that thought process and that mentality to live shopping on TikTok?
Well, yeah, because essentially in China, like each live is like a Saturday Night Live. You're having
Yeah.
the biggest stars coming in when they have like
Wow.
new movies, like new music drops. They will come to the lives to promote. So it has become the thing. And also, this summer I just went back to China to do a business trip. And basically, for even the boutique shops you walk in, like the shop owners, they're doing lives alongside of regular like selling.
I
Yeah, like
love it.
everyone is doing that. But I don't think the mentality is here. Apparently, like Americans have a
Hmm.
different ways of consuming. They don't like you to be like too pushy.
Yeah.
And that also applies to like the videos you're making. And one technique that worked really well with lives in Asian countries in general is basically saying that, well, you have to tune in for like 30 minutes and then I'll have a flash sale for 5 minutes. Only for this 5 minutes, you're getting like 80% off, like
Hmm.
70% off. So you really have to tune in, stay engaged, interact with the host to wait for that moment. But that technique actually doesn't work so well in the United States because people were feeling like it's already not that expensive. I don't want to waste like half an hour, or 1 hour just to have another 10% off.
Right.
So yeah, and also because there's so many like interesting contents to consume on, even if you're not watching TV, like you have Netflix, you have movies, sports, live events. There's so many things happening in people's lives.
Hmm.
So why should I invest time watching a shopping live? So
Right.
you must have something to offer because on the same spectrum, we're seeing like the live entertainment on TikTok has
Hmm.
taken off like long time ago. It's already like the second most profitable sector within TikTok. Yeah,
Wow.
so basically like that means Americans they love consuming interesting content. They're gifting the host in live
Yeah.
entertainment because they're finding value over there. They're just not finding enough value in shopping lives in general yet.
Hmm.
And that's like the major difference because in China, more than 90% of the GMV generated for any seller is through live streaming. So less
Amazing.
than 10% is short video, but it's the reversal pattern here. Like
Wow.
less than 10% is by live,
How do they have all this
90%.
time? How do they have all this time to watch all these lives? And I feel like, as it is, I can't even consume all the content that I need to on a daily basis to learn and, maybe have a few, fun shows to watch. I can't imagine sitting down and watching a live all the way through, but it sounds like it works over there. I mean, you're saying celebrities come on, big,
Right.
product drops and music drops. I mean, it sounds amazing, and I would love, to continue. I guess maybe some of that should come in here because really, at the end of the day, if you're trying to show, if you do it the old-fashioned way, like QVC, holding up a product and talking about it, it's transactional, right? It's not
Right.
fun. That's not a fun experience. The fun experience is what they're doing in Asia. So I'm fascinated by this, and I think that more of that should probably come over here and maybe figuring out a mix between the two ways
Yeah,
in
there's
there.
certain like barriers that's going to be difficult to overcome. The
Hmm.
first one is if you were to go to China, you will see there like a whole building, like
Hmm.
a 30 floors, like 40 floors, like a whole building of like live stream studios in
Hmm.
China. Like each one of them is customized, themed for that specific brand. So
Wow.
there's a lot of like interior design, all that renovation to be done with a
Yeah,
certain space. And that's very expensive in the United States to begin with.
sure.
And then the second one is for like the number one female and male live stream host in China at the beginning, they had to run maybe like 18 to like 20 hours per day, a show.
Wow. A
Like for most of
18,
the hosts,
wait,
yeah,
18 to 20 hours for one
yeah,
show?
yeah.
Wow.
As long as people
That's,
are coming in a buy-in, you have to
yeah.
keep being passionate and doing the shows. Apparently, that wouldn't fly in the United States.
No.
Nobody is willing to work that long hours.
No.
Even if you were to take shifts, you need to have like maybe 3 to 4 hosts taking shifts to keep the show running. A
Yeah.
lot of shows at the beginning are like 24 hours, just having different hosts coming in. So, but once again, even to hire a host to do so in the United States is way more expensive than in China.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so basically, like your fixed cost in running a live stream is way higher than China. And then
Wow.
also the efficiency of like the algorithm in drawing people in, relevant people in who are willing to make the purchase. Well, it's really, really high. The ratio is like 1 to 2,000 in China.
Wow.
But
Wow.
then here it's maybe only 1 to 2. So like the
That's
efficiency is not there yet.
that's amazing. I mean, 18 to 24. I mean, that reminds me of growing up. There were things called the telethon, right, in the United States, where they would
Right.
raise money, and they would do it for like 2 days straight. And the host would would go take a nap every now and then and come back. But you just keep it going. You keep it going. I mean, I could see the excitement. I could see that. But I think the United States is operates a little bit differently. But I think going back to entertaining in some way. You don't. Let's not don't have to go 18 hours, but bringing entertainment into your content, bringing entertainment into your live in some way. Be relevant, right? Be interesting. I think that is really maybe what we're saying here is that if you're going to get on camera, make it worthwhile, and get people to watch and make it interesting. Now tell me. Just you've worked with a lot of creators. You've worked with a lot of brands. When should a seller prioritize quantity? Maybe the volume, of creator videos versus the quality. I feel like we're told a lot of times, quantity every single day, many times a day, but quality is very important. How do you look at the two of those?
I would say at the very beginning, see like 2022 or the first half of 2023 is more about quantity. Because the algorithm was set up that way, there are not so many like sellers or creators content in the whole pool. So yeah, it's more about quantity, but then very soon afterwards, it's getting so competitive. And right now, I would say like the US is one of the most crowded markets, like in terms of agency alone. At the beginning, we probably only had 10, and now we have like 20 to 30K agencies of different kinds in the
Wow.
markets. So imagine,
All focused on TikTok and
yeah,
TikTok shops.
yeah,
Yeah.
TikTok shop.
Wow.
So it's a very crowded market. If you really want to stand out, you definitely have to pay more attention to the quality side, making sure you have the best content. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to stand out.
Interesting. Wow. Well, that's I'm happy to hear that there's more emphasis also on quality. I think that's especially with AI. I think we're getting into this place where there's just this mentality of just throw stuff up. What do they call it? Slop, AI slop. And I hope
Right.
that more is paid attention to. I think but if you go into the live side of things, generally, at least for now, most of that's going to be human based, right? Somebody actually has to get up and talk and show and
Right.
all of that. So, tell me about metrics. And I know you have a you have a proprietary tool you built, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But when you are advising clients, and when you're working with clients, and if you were just simply telling a client a prospect what metrics or signals do they have to monitor to determine whether a product or campaign is ready to scale, like we're ready to push this to the next level? What should they be looking for in the metrics? Because the metrics are very good on TikTok, right? In TikTok shops, they're very good metrics or dashboards to look at. What do you recommend they should be looking at before they scale?
Yeah. There's certain like benchmarks you have to look at. Like the first one is around like 10K if you can reach that many units of sales.
Okay.
And then the second one is like 150K units in sales. Usually after that point, instead of like purely emphasize on working with the high level creators, high premium content, it's time for you to scale up, to open it up to like a broader pool. Because, for the creator world, it's not like if you're level 7, meaning you're selling the most in the United States for this month, you're still going to be the same level next month. It will fluctuate. And then for new creators coming into the games, they might have surprising like performance. So it's more about matching the profile. Once you already know what kind of creators work for you on a smaller scale, then you want to match more creators fitting into that portfolio to work for you, to maximize your chance of success. Yeah.
That's
But then
cool.
you should not go after like quantity in terms of video counts at the early stage, because that's more like explorative for you to figure out what's the actual success formula for you.
Okay, oh, that's very interesting. Well, that does lead us into the AI enhanced SaaS platform that you guys built. You mentioned that you launched it recently on the Apple App Store as well as the Android Play Store. So you've positioned this as a standalone product that anybody can use in addition to you're using it within your agency as well. Is that the case?
Well, so far it's more like for our clients, our creators only. We do get, there are actually other like funds and investors approached me before saying that, this is a very useful tool. You should open up. The thing is, there are actually already so many like third-party software, and some are saying they're AI enhanced as well. We actually work with some of them as well, but I think the nexus will be, if you're working as like a third-party software, then you do not really have like the enforcement power on either party. Meaning like creators, you can't just force them like saying, use this, upload everything here. Why?
Right.
It's adding an extra layer of work for me.
Right.
But then if they're working with us on regular basis, on daily basis, so this is already like a system they're using on daily basis. They're used to that. When you ask them to do anything, when you have any update in the features, it's kind of already built in. It's much easier for them to actually use it and accept it.
And what is
for their own benefit.
What does the platform exactly do that you built? I mean, you give me the nuances, like the details of how it helps. Helps your agency and helps your clients.
Yeah, so it's for the two sides. For the creator side, it's basically we're doing a marketplace. We're curating the best products most likely to succeed for them, based on their past performance, their portfolio, follower base, everything else. So we're making a recommendation for them on daily basis, weekly basis. They're able to go there to choose like a selected pool of products with the best commission they can find on the market that we negotiated for them as well. And then they will be able to upload videos over there. If it's like brand video where we allow clients to do like a one-time revision, like the notes will be there. They will resubmit if it's approved. They also have to submit this barcode. That's actually one of the biggest pain points for the sellers. They want to boost your ads, but then they can't do it without this barcode. And then it's very difficult for them to like track every creator and saying that, give me your barcode, So but for us, it's mandatory. You have to like submit it within 24 hours. So it's already over there. It's very easy for you to do any ad efforts afterwards. Like the performance will be there. We do review with the creators. So this is kind of on the creator side. And then on the seller side, essentially, it's helping them to manage the whole process. You will be able to approve and disapprove creators over there, see the reasons why, and then track your sample delivery process, video completion, performance, dashboard, like everything over there. And for both sides, the behind logic is we're having our own algorithm and tool to syndicate all the data. We filter that. Then we try to figure out the overall like a matchability between the product side and the creator side. And then also we're using AI to find out what's the best like script.
Wow.
For creators to follow in general. But then we do not enforce them to like follow everything like step by step, because essentially it's the human touch that's golden from each creator, because they know what speaks to their audience. So we do want them to put it over there, but then it's like there's certain like do's and don'ts they must follow in order to like boost their performance in general. So they're very appreciative of that, because the overall like what works, what doesn't work on TikTok changes very quickly. It's impossible for them as a one-man army to follow everything. but then we're getting like the most likely to succeed formula to them right away.
Sounds like an amazing tool, and I applaud you for this, because this is where agencies, we all know the story of Hootsuite, and they came out of an agency, right? They were trying to become more efficient in social media management and posting and building a tool. You're looking at it from that standpoint. How do I make my agency more efficient? How do I give my clients more information? How do I manage this all better? And you built a tool. Well, whether you take that tool outside of your agency and bring it in, make it available or not, I think it sounds like an amazing, and very useful tool. It's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about, the logistics side, fulfillment, shipping, maybe pricing. Let's start with fulfillment and shipping. If most sellers potentially already have fulfillment set up, right? They may be using third party, they may be using their own warehouse, but let's say they don't really have that in place. Do you guys get into helping them with fulfillment and shipping, kind of helping them manage that world? Because I know that it's very important to TikTok shops. They track, obviously, if you don't ship your goods on time, you're gonna get flagged, correct?
Yeah, well, usually because in the United States, you have so many like things at your disposal. So people usually already have something figured out for them already. And also TikTok in the US, they have their own, very similar to the FBA's center here. But in order to get in there, you have to already reached certain number of GMV on TikTok Shop. Yeah, so you have to be a relatively successful seller to get that service over there. Yeah, but in general, people are using everything like USPS, UPS, like FedEx. And if you're already selling on Amazon, you can just use the same shipments on TikTok Shop. So it's very convenient. Like TikTok will be able to like connect to whatever like existing logistics or fulfillment services you're using here.
Interesting. Okay, that's very good. Well, what about pricing? If they already have their pricing strategy outside of TikTok shops and they're coming new into TikTok shops, do you work with them on potentially maybe altering their price, changing it a little bit for TikTok shops? I know there are a lot of discounts that come into play. How do you advise on the pricing side of things?
Yeah, it's like at the beginning, you definitely have to do some promotion if you're kind of like nobody knows, like new brands out there, to stand out. It's not saying that if you were selling it at $20 and on TikTok, you have to sell it at 10. No. Yeah, but then it's just a relative to whatever your competitor is. At the beginning, you give like a little bit extra value. And if you're already like a brand that everyone has been using for a long time, like a household product, then for example, you're selling it at $12 at Walmart, even if you're selling it at $11.99, that's still like cheaper than Walmart. But then it gives people a good excuse, like, oh, I'm buying this on TikTok, I'm getting the lowest price nationwide. Yeah, so it's not like you have to do like a tremendous amount of a discount on TikTok to begin with, because a lot of time TikTok, they also have the new buyer discount, like 20%. And there's so many like promotional seasons on TikTok Shop. So a lot of times it's either like shipping free, and then if you click on a product, put it into your cart, but then you didn't complete the transaction, they will prompt you after some time saying that I saw that you were trying to make a purchase either because it's too expensive. Then TikTok's gonna give you like a 10% off from the platform side, basically using.
Yeah, so the platform absorbs that. It does not get passed on to the seller. Got it. Okay.
Right. Yeah, but if you're doing it live, then definitely you have to utilize flash sales.
Sure.
To give people like a strong reason why they have to make the time to watch your show and then make the purchase within the session.
Interesting. Well, I mean, this is fascinating. I mean, it sounds like in many ways, a solid e-commerce strategy where you're looking at all angles here. I think what it differs from, the static e-commerce world is that this is entertainment as well. This is, and this is the backbone of TikTok is about entertainment, right? Pulling people in, showing them information. So I think it's always very important to if you're willing to put in the work, bring some level of entertainment into your selling process in there. And I do find it very interesting. I like the fact that the SaaS platform that you guys have built works on the script as well. It uses AI to kind of find the right script, whether the person, whether the creator, uses it all or not. It really kind of helps them guide. It's like writing a script for a movie, right, or a show in many ways. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, I'm curious. At the time of this recording, I think TikTok has been granted more time in the United States as things get ironed out, and I feel that it's probably too valuable for it to be pushed out of here. That there's a lot of sellers that depend on TikTok. Where do you see this going, and whether it stays or go? I mean, just in general, where do you see TikTok shops heading beyond 2025?
Well, I think one thing is for sure, it's such a valuable platform. I don't think it's going to disappear.
Yeah.
But how it's going to move on in the current or a different type of format, that's kind of up to the US government to TikTok and also the Chinese government.
Yeah.
Because I saw a lot of news reports on the US side basically saying that, they've got the sellers ready. But the thing they don't construe is also that the Chinese government has a say on it.
Yeah.
Because the most valuable thing about TikTok is actually the algorithm.
Yes.
So that's considered to be a national security issue for the Chinese government as well. So the government has to say yes for ByteDance to spin off this part of the assets as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So they need a partner in the United States. It really, at the end of the day, they need probably a good partner. I always used to think that Amazon would make a good partner. I don't know. It's part of me, feels that Amazon doesn't have they have Twitch, I guess you can call that social, but that's not, it's not a true commerce element. They're missing that commerce, and they dabble in live. Their lives are not very entertaining necessarily.
Right.
They're kind of buried in the site. I always felt that maybe that could be a good partner, in that world. Who knows? Somebody out there is going to step in potentially, right?
Yeah, because they actually have already made tremendous efforts. First of all, on data storage.
Yeah.
That's already everything is hosted here physically in the United States. It's managed by US company. And because we're working with TikTok on a daily basis, so we know the level of protection, data privacy, it's definitely at the highest level you can imagine.
Wow.
And some of the rules they're following, even for American companies, it's going to be very difficult to follow.
Sure.
Yeah, for the single efforts of boosting the videos for ad supports we were talking about, you have to ask for consent from the creator, every time you want to run ads on it.
Right.
It's not once-off efforts, is to tell the creator, say yes, and then we can do whatever we want from here. No, every time you're doing it, you have to ask for consent.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's already at the highest level of protection. It's, but I do believe for both sides, well, after all, the US and China, they are the biggest country, the strongest country in the world now. They should have the wisdom to solve this problem.
Yes, they should, because a lot of businesses are at stake. A lot of lives, are dependent on revenue that comes out of here. Well, that's very, very interesting, and let's see, how it plays out. Hopefully, it all works out well in there. Well, Jessamine, as we wrap things up, it's been phenomenal to learn the insides and inside and out of getting going. And in many ways, I think if you're sitting on the sidelines, you should just get going. Get started on something. Sitting on the sidelines forever will get you nowhere. So as we wrap things up, I'm just curious. You have built this successful agency. You've built a SaaS product to go along, with the agency to help, manage, what you guys are putting out there. Just in terms of you as a business person, I'm very curious, and, with AI being obviously so ingrained in everything that we do, I'm curious, what ways, what one specific way maybe are you using AI in your own business to make your world more efficient and productive? I think, and I like to ask this question because hopefully it passes along and other people can learn and say, oh, I never thought of that. That's fantastic. What one way do you use it to make yourself more efficient and productive?
So far on the agency side of the business, it's mostly in terms of finding the success formula, like the scripts we were talking about.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the day, it comes down to what kind of content you can produce.
Okay.
Yeah, to actually help sell. So that's how we're using AI. And in terms of like ads assets, you definitely can use it a little bit. But like TikTok Shop is more about authenticity. Because even like back in China, some of the lives, for the repetitive part of the lives, they're already using AI avatar to do so.
Okay.
Like constantly saying that, oh, this is what would live, and then we are having a flash sale of like 30%. So those parts are done by AI. But for the actual part of connecting with your audiences, interact with them, you still have to do it with a real person. Because that's what the audiences are tuned in for. So that's the beauty of the creative side of work. It's not that easily replaceable by AI. That's kind
good.
of like
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And then we're also into like the seller mode as well, starting from this year. It's kind of like we have already seen what kind of products can sell really well on this platform and through which way. So we're launching some of our own products this year in the US and also in Latin American world. So for that part, well, definitely like the design aspect and everything, we're using AI. I think it's for like a small and medium scale business. That's definitely most cost effective. You don't have to hire like expensive designer to do so. And a lot of things, it's kind of like very difficult to explain to a designer, this is something I want,
You're right.
if you do not have like a design background,
Right.
it's very difficult to get precise. But then with the help of AI, you're able to kind of like convey everything because you're able to see it instantly instead of like waiting for like 7 days, like 10 days for like a draft to come out. So it's definitely like helping us to speed up the whole process.
That's fantastic. Well, that's wonderful, and I like to ask every business owner because I know that it's such a big part of every business now. But it's also nice to hear that the human is still very relevant. Especially I would assume in the world of creator. Going live is probably a big part of it. You can't fake it. You can't have your avatar do everything for you, at least for now. Maybe later,
Right.
maybe that changes. Well, I appreciate you coming on. This has been fascinating to kind of walk through the whole process. You've been very helpful, just really putting a lot of information out there for our audience to understand the how-to part of it. As we wrap up, tell people how they can find you, how they can find the agency online, how they can reach out, and what that all looks like.
Oh, yeah, sure. I think the easiest way will be go to our website. So it's www.creatorev.com. Just tell you a little bit why we have CreatoRev as a name. So we were thinking, in this world, you have to create first. Then the revenue will come naturally. So
Nice.
It's like create to rev.
Yes.
And also we think that we're creating, and with our creator community, we're creating to revolutionize the world of
Nice.
social commerce.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's why we came up with the name. So we have like a contact form over there. It goes directly to my email box.
Great.
So you can look for me over there.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Valuable information. We'll put all that information in the show notes. Make sure everybody knows how to find you and find the agency as well. And I just want to say again, thank you for making the time today coming on. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today for another episode of the E-Commerce Revolution podcast. Please subscribe to us on YouTube and feel free to join our community on Substack at ecomrevolution.co. With that said, I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. See ya. All right, that brings us to the end of another episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast. Don't forget to check out past episodes, which are all available on demand on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Ready to join the revolution? Become an exclusive part of our growing community of emerging e-commerce entrepreneurs at ecomrevolution.co. Until next time, see ya.